This is probably a big issue that we see as we buy plants that are ready to gift. Today is Valentine's Day here in the Philippines, and I got this present yesterday from my husband. Hi everyone, it's Melissa, your plantita abogada here at Tasteful Notes, coming to you today with an emergency repotting video. Yeah. Before we get started, I'm going to run through our 3 disclaimers really quickly, kind of important for today's episode. 1. KKB tayo, kanya-kanyang bayad. For our Westerner friends, it means we each pay our own way. I've got this gorgeous Moodianum featured for today, and last time I had one of these in my videos, it would get a comment on almost each video it appeared in. So we spend prudently, we don't spend our rent money, okay? Number 2, I'm an attorney by training. I'm not a botanist, I'm not a scientist. So any information that I do share with you, if it's factual, I'll go ahead and put it at the bottom of the screen. If it isn't, if it's just my opinion, then take it as that with a grain of salt, okay? Number 3, since I'm not an expert, I would prefer that you find the experts in your area who have Moodianums. If you are interested in getting one, or if you have one and you need some help, find these people. They can give you growing tips in your area. They can tell you where to find these if you're interested. They could give you going rates. And then you possibly have a new plant friend. So win-win all around. If you've been with me since the beginning, or close to it, then you probably noticed this gorgeous Moodianum in the background. I swear, every video that appeared in, I always had some sort of comment. What is that plant? It was sold to me as an Anthurium chamberlainii when I first got it, my first plant. And we determined that it wasn't. It was a Moodianum. Now, the Moodianum, I'm not too sure of its history. However, I did find an entry about it being owned by a grower in Hawaii named John Mood. And apparently it was shared from his collection in about 2010. Moodianum is gorgeous. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous plant. So the new leaves come out this gorgeous, deep red color. I mean, just deep maroon, burgundy, something along those lines. The colors will eventually turn chocolatey as it turns greenish. It doesn't really get very green like this guy does, like the Pedato radiatum. I don't know if you can see it there. See that? Yeah. Very green against the dark color. It won't get that green, but it will gradually shift colors to a darker chocolatey green. So a really striking plant, right? I've moved several filming areas since we actually moved into our own place. And when I made that move, it didn't take to the move too well. It burned where I put it in the new place. And then when I tried to rehab it, it was just downhill from there. So when we were out shopping yesterday, plant shopping for my mother-in-law, I saw one of these and I'm like, oh my goodness. Got it for 1,200 pesos. Let me see how much that is. 20 bucks. $20.74 USD. So, I mean, not a bad price. It's quite large. See, you know, how big the leaf is. Mine was granted much bigger, and it'd been with me for a while, so there were a lot more leaves. But beggars can't be choosers, and this is the only Moodianum that I've seen in person in a really, really long time. So I don't know if other people are killing them, and you know, it's the same story as mine, but I don't see them often. So when I saw this, I just had to jump at the chance. And you know, my husband was like, here, happy Valentine's Day. You know, the necessary sweet words that come along with that. Yay. And he's like, let me put this in the back because we were getting in the car. And no. That baby's going to sit on my lap when we go pick up our human baby to go home because he was in school. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, of course I'm sure. I've been wanting one of these forever. And so he puts it on my lap. And the plant looks like $1 million, but it also probably weighs about $1 million. Let me show you what's going on here. Yeah. Oh my God. Ready? That cannot be healthy. It's solid. And I'm really worried actually about what's going on in here. If you notice, there are 2 leaves. There was another leaf that was right here, but for some reason it got cut off. It is between the new leaf and the old leaf, and it worries me. I don't normally recommend repotting plants unless you actually need to, unless you absolutely have to. Here in the Philippines, there are only 2 reasons I would do that. One, if I had concerns about the potted plant that was sent to me, whether or not it's rooted or not. Of course, I would have to check, right? If it was sold to me as rooted and it's showing signs that it might not be rooted, then that's false advertising, and I deserve, you know, either my money back if I return the plant or a partial refund. So that's one scenario. The second scenario would be that it is not in healthy media, and that's what I worry about here. So on top, I see some charcoal. Actually, a lot of charcoal. So we got lots of charcoal on this thing. So considering that charcoal is really light, there's no reason for this to be that heavy. And my worry is rocks, to be honest. It weighs a ton. And if this is all rock underneath, I worry about what that's doing to these roots, especially in light of it only having 2 leaves. So I see that there was a propagation done here, and I'll go ahead and give you guys a close-up just so you can see where I'm going at. There was a propagation here, likely a top cut, and this grew from the bottom. When I'm looking at it here, it looks like there was another growth, but it also looks like something happened to that growth. It doesn't look like it was cut, and that worries me. So yeah, I absolutely need to have a look at this because I did not notice that other cut, the one on the bottom here, when I bought it. So let's go see what we're dealing with, and let's get this in better media. Grab a basket to lessen the mess. Let's see what we're dealing with, okay? So if you're going to do an emergency repotting like this, be careful not to cut the roots. Be aware where they are. And try to cut as close as you can to the pot. If it's a nursery pot and the like. This one is. So I've got my finger in there, not to cut, but just to kind of guide it and feel if there's anything that I don't want cut there. Okay. Yep, there's, oh man. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Moodieanum, the way that I raised it. Easy plant, easy enough. It's pretty straightforward. It doesn't like having wet feet. From what I remember, I had it in an aeroid type mix, so chunky. A lot of opportunity for water to escape, but also a lot of opportunity for enough water to be retained, enough water for the plant's needs, and, you know, based on my watering schedule. Jeez Louise. It's not rock. It's solid soil. I've never seen anything like this before. I've never had an anthurium like this in solid soil before. The last one that I bought, well, the only other one that I bought, was actually in carbonized rice hull. So it was in, I guess, a dry rice hull. And it's a popular planting material here in the Philippines. Just because it's organic, but it also allows for water to go through. So a lot of people use it for the anthuriums here, and it works out really, really well. The carbonized version of it works as a good replacement for charcoal, which a lot of people also use here. I've used it to some degree when it's available, and also when I actually need it. Let me cut the other side as well. But yeah, can you see how solid this thing is? It's just solid soil, and I don't understand why it's so heavy. I still don't understand it. It really is, gosh, how many pounds is this? Maybe a good 10 to 15 pounds. I don't understand. It's not wet. The soil is moist, not even bone dry, moist to dry. That's where it's at. This is pretty heavy. Okay, give me a sec. Holy cow. Still heavy. So plastic pot gone. And what we're left here is something really, really solid and really heavy. I might have to wet this just to see what's going on. It's it's muddy. It's like a clay inside. And I think maybe that's why it's so heavy, because it's a clay type soil that they use for this, which isn't a good thing. It's very, very bad for this plant. This plant in particular, from my experience. Yeah, holy cow. I do see clay here. The area where I bought this is in Pampanga. So they're kind of similar to my area here in the Philippines, Tarlac, where there are a lot of rice fields. And this soil does not surprise me, given that our soil is like that here. Rice fields, you need something that's very water retentive, and that's what clay is. I'm going to try to break this up as much as I can to free roots without breaking them. And I think I might actually need to wash this down somewhere. So remember what I said in the beginning, where if I thought that there were rocks here because it's so heavy? 2 rocks. So that probably explains why it's like this. I gotta get this out of what's going on here, and I will be right back. That was quite the adventure. So we've got a growth right here. So there's one growth right here. I don't know if it's still good. It's kind of brown. I'll take a picture of it so you see what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm not sure if that one's viable anymore. There's one right there. There's one there at the bottom. Another 2 on top. And then another one right around there. That looks, it's still good. It's still white. And then we had that cut that I was talking about right here. That one looks fine because it looks like it was something that was done on purpose. And I'll put this side by side so you can see what I'm talking about. But we have this one. This is the one that made me nervous. You see it right there? Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, if it rotted or what. In any case, before we continue and before anyone comes for me, I just want to let you know I'm not in the business of media shaming, okay? If something works for you, then by all means go for it. But generally speaking, these plants shouldn't be in mud, okay? And before you guys come for me and say, well, you know, not everyone can afford orchid bark or whatever. Guys, we live in the Philippines. Remember what I was saying earlier about rice hull? Rice hull is everywhere. If you know someone, you could probably even get it for free. I don't know anyone. So I get it for like 50 pesos for an entire sack, right, of dried rice hull. We've got coconuts in most cities. We don't grow coconuts where I'm from. We have rice is our main staple here. But people sell coconut juice. You know, you can ask them for the coconuts that you could eventually dry up, chop, prepare yourself. That can be done. So, you know, oh, and before I forget, charcoal is everywhere here in the Philippines. Uling, guys, uling. Uling is the same thing as what they say is charcoal in the US. We've got that here. There is no reason that this plant should have been in that much rock and that much mud, you know, except for the fact that I guess they weren't really trying to keep it healthy. They were just trying to put it in something. So if I didn't have the knowledge and the experiences that I've had in the past, if someone bought this for their special or their significant other or for themselves and they weren't particularly experienced with plants, they might have just kept it in there, and I don't know what kind of results they would have come up with. Imagine when mud dries, it dries really, really badly. You know what that looks like. Cakey makeup, guys? When your makeup gets cakey, that's what mud reminds me of. So you've got roots that are drying up with soil because, you notice that it retains too much moisture. So you don't water as often, but then you water it when it gets dry. And the only time that you see it gets dry is when the top part starts cracking. That means that everything else is probably like almost there. That's just a recipe for root rot. Anyways, so yeah, we're not shaming anyone. We've got different kinds of materials in our specific areas that can be used for this. I understand that some people in the US and in the West use bark that is used for exotic animals like lizards, geckos, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, right? So there are options, and it shouldn't have to just fall on that's all that was available to me. No, if we're going to invest in plants, we might as well invest a little bit of effort as well into finding things that are in our area and that are relatively affordable. Okay? Okay, good. Now I'm looking at the roots, and I do see some brown roots. Not sure about some of these. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Root rot. And I'll get a close-up of this, but you could see where the sheath of the root is already fraying off. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So if I were a novice or a newbie plant parent, I wouldn't know any better. Root rot is not fun, and there are a few. How is the rest of this root? The rest of it looks okay. So we've got a gorgeous base that has 2 growths potential, possibly 3. And we're going to go repot it now, okay? So materials that I have near me that I'll be using today: rice hull. We're in rice planting territory here, so got lots of that. Pumice, Mount Pinatubo. I climbed that, I think, a couple years ago, right after I gave birth, like 4 months after I gave birth. I climbed that thing. Yeah, no doctor's approvals yet. I did not know that we were supposed to get it, but whatever, I survived. Mount Pinatubo's right there. It spit out a lot of pumice last time it exploded, so I got pumice galore. You could use perlite also. What else? Cocoa cubes. I got lots of that here. Vermiculite. I have some of that. I had to buy some of that. Fine. You don't have to have some of it, but something organic, a little bit of organic material to add. I have a little bit of charcoal. I'll be throwing that in the mix too. So let me go ahead and mix something up, okay? And here's some more mud. Okay, so that's the joy in not having prepared your potting mix beforehand, right? Oh, sorry, baby, did I hurt you? Okay, we got cocoa cubes. We got some rice hull. We've got some pumice. We've got some charcoal. I had a little bit of charcoal left. So pumice sizes are, I guess this is what they call corn. So, yay big, right? Charcoal, yay big. Bamboo leaves, unintended consequence of having a bamboo tree in the back. It was there, I'll throw it in. So yeah, we've got our mix ready. I think I even had lava rock in here because that's what I had in my mix of pumice. I usually just throw all of my inorganic rock type things together in a container. Anyway, another important ingredient to all of this is a good pot. So I reuse pots as long as I didn't have a crazy infestation, which I don't think I've had. Had spider mite problems before, but that was always verrucosums, and mine's still alive, and it's not a spider mite magnet yet, but it is turning into chicharron because of the heat. So we want a pot that has good drainage. Remember what I said about root rot. We don't want root rot. I'll take a video of that because that's a little bit of root rot right there. If you do have root rot, you want to cut off those ends that have the rot. You don't want that to spread. If you've got fungicide, add that to your mix. I don't know where mine is, so I'll be keeping a close eye on this plant as I repot it. So we've got 2 pots here, both with very good drainage. And let's see where the roots fit best. We don't want a pot that's too big, contrary to what we were led to believe when we were growing up. Yeah, big pots mean that the plants will grow into them. These are not little kids. These are not children that will grow into their elder siblings' hand-me-downs, right? No. If you have too much soil in there, you run the risk of too much water on your roots. So you don't want your pots to be too big for your roots. This looks nice, but I won't have space for the cocoa cubes and stuff. This might be slightly taller. Let's go see how this works out. And it might give space for that to grow out. Okay, so found this pot. Smaller than the pot that I originally was talking about, but it might just work because the bottom part is narrower. Yeah, I think this might be it. Have a look inside. But anyways, so here's our pot. Okay, let's begin the repotting session. So you may run out of potting material. Stuff happens, right? In fact, that's exactly what happened here. But rather than keep you guys on video while I make another batch of all of this, I'm gonna have to run to the porch and get some pumice, and then I'm gonna have to go run to the gazebo and get some rice hull. The gazebo also has, what's that called? Help me. The cocoa coir, and also has the vermicast. So instead of gathering all of that stuff and coming back here for another video or to extend this, I'm just gonna end it here, guys. Trust your judgment, okay? Trust your gut instincts. When your gut tells you that something is off about a plant, if it's way too heavy compared to how it should be, and I'm talking, you know, even the small gift plants that we have at the big box stores, you know, the ones with all of the decorative stones on top, you know, the ones that possibly have the plugs at the bottom that kill your roots too. Trust your gut. If your gut tells you that there's something going on with your plant, take care of it, repot it, do what you need to, okay, and make it happier. That's it for me today. What I want to know from you guys today is what your aroid mix recipes are. I know we all have our own recipes, and I know we don't always buy them prepared because they do get pricey. So share your ingredients with me. I'm really curious to see what other people are using. I do like perlite, but it's not easily available to me, so I use pumice instead. Tell me what's more easily available in your area as well. Okay? If you guys enjoyed today's episode, feel free to give this video a like. Subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell so that you get notified of future content. If the once-a-week videos aren't good enough for you, check me out on Facebook. I am there as Tasteful Nodes, and I do post a little bit more material, a little bit more thought-provoking or conversational material there. Okay, so if you want to chat, find me there. And finally, if you just want to look at pretty pictures right before you go to bed, check me out on Instagram. I'm there as Tasteful Nodes as well. Okay, guys, until next time, sa uulitin, keep your nodes classy and tasteful. Bye.